Imagine a wonder material so unique it will inspire the next industrial revolution, capable of changing the world around us as we know it. Graphene is going to change the way we live, work, and play.
Can you imagine the first two-dimensional material known to humanity and what that material can actually do? With the thermal capabilities of graphene, the electrical capabilities of graphene, and the material strengths, lighter and stronger. Grafoid is leading the charge with this new material, trademarked as mesograph, and has the direct derivation from raw graphite ore into few-layer graphene. You're changing the entire methodology and implementation of graphene in various kinds of materials, disciplines, industries. And this is why it is such an exciting time.
The approach that we use for this mesograph material is so simple, so clean, so low cost, that it enables so many products to be produced without any negative environmental impact. Grafoid's business model is to generate revenue from the applications. We don't just want to sell mesograph. It's about utilizing technology and utilizing our know-how in functionalizing materials to create real-life solutions that solve real-life problems today.
You look at Singapore, which is a very unique country where they have all these variations of novel, exotic buildings. With graphene, you'd be able to really impact the infrastructure. The buildings would be taller. You could triple the size.
2% concentration of our graphene mixed with recycled plastics will create a super strong plastic material that we can extrude, and then once braided like so, will create a very, very strong rebar material used in the construction industry. It will be lighter, it will be much, much stronger than steel, and it will never corrode.
Grafoid has an incredible partnership with Hydro-Quebec. Lithium iron phosphate is a safe and effective energy storage system, typically used with graphite, and now with graphene it allows Hydro-Quebec to extend their patent profile for an additional 17 years.
This is a lithium battery that will be used in communication devices, as well as enabling the automotive industry to switch to an electric vehicle, to an all-electric vehicle.
Corporations that have leverage in graphite are coming over to replace that with graphene mesograph.
With this material, we'll be able to create protective clothing that will be able to replace 6 inches of armoring. We'll be able to have equivalent of an armored vehicle on our bodies. In the medical field, a project that we're working with is a company that manufactures an antibody for the prostate.
We can actually use an antibody and connect it to the mesograph and be able to send that into the human body and target cancer. Mesograph has the ability to respond to heat. And so basically you're sending it to that location and cooking the location of the cancer. You now have a new vehicle for therapy in medicine and treatment for extension of human health.
This is not science fiction. This is real. And Grafoid, with the mesograph material, is leading the charge. Mesograph is a game changer because it allows every company to economically use graphene in all of their products.
To take it from the milligram level in the laboratory into gram level into kilogram level is absolutely crucial.
We have a unique business advantage in the endless supply of our raw material to produce mesograph, in our ability to attract incredible talent that can functionalize this material into real live applications, and to launch these applications with very strong industry partners around the globe.
Grafoid sits at the interface between the university, government, and corporate partnerships that laid the groundwork, making this opportunity high reward, extremely low risk.
We believe that this mine-to-market model gives us a very unique advantage. When you invest in Grafoid, you're not just investing in graphene, you're investing in all these applications. And that's the future for graphene.
Mesograph is a globally trademarked few-layer graphene that is the only kind directly derived in a single step from raw ore graphite into few-layer graphene. This is very powerful because it limits the amount of defects, it allows scalable production, and you are also able to do it at very low cost. The Achilles heel to make the material has always been using something called the Hummers method, or a modification of the Hummers. This oxidation, followed by reduction, leads to defects that are difficult to control, defects that are difficult to manage. Graphite Zero's process does not have those types of chemicals like oxidizers. It doesn't have a reducing agent like hydrazine. We have a very short path.
Grafoid is setting the world standard with our trademarked Mesograph material. There are many players that were responsible in making Mesograph a success. It all starts with the raw material from Focus Graphite, who provides us with the graphitic rock that we utilize in our process.
The National University of Singapore Graphene Research Center. This is where it happened. This is where Mesograph was derived from raw graphite ore, and the patents and discoveries originated. With the funding and the institution support of the Singapore government and the National University of Singapore. Graphite Zero was born as a company being able to manufacture, quality control graphene as a few-layer material, leading up to the ability to create new kinds of applications.
Graphite Zero is our sister company that has the license to produce Mesograph in a large scale. And Grafoid is the sales and marketing arm that enables Fortune 500 companies around the globe to utilize Mesograph in their end applications. This mine-to-market model has a distinct advantage in the world of graphene today.
We've never run into a two-dimensional carbon-based material. Imagine the quantum leap, because now you have the two-dimensional material that is stronger than diamond, more conductive than copper. It's game-changing. This is not graphene, it's an analogy. This tissue has a three-dimensional structure to it. You wouldn't really imagine that it could go through a small hole. So this material actually, when folded, it can actually go through and enter and exit something like this. And this hole could be even smaller, and it could still fit itself in. And this is very important for medical applications and applications where the hole in the aperture changes. And in cells, the aperture is substantially smaller. So something very small is not limited by this material because it can actually go through.
One of the strengths that Grafoid has, dispersing graphene in a liquid, is a major achievement. Graphene is hydrophobic. The hull of a ship coated with graphene will repel water, will have a lot less friction, saving millions of dollars in fuel consumption, and also increase the speed of the vessel.
Mesograph, which is a few-layer graphene material, can transform medicine as we know it. Certain drug candidates fail because they're insoluble or they have limitations. You add Mesograph to that and you've now expanded the possibilities where new therapies can be accomplished.
Graphene on its own is not very useful, but mixed with a variety of other materials enhances so many applications, including plastics, lubricants, rubbers, 3D printing materials, the automotive industry, military world, the energy industry.
You're able to reach into the future and create applications leaps and leaps ahead because of the partnerships and understanding. The intelligence component is what sets Grafoid and Mesograph and Graphite Zero ages apart from the competition.
Grafoid with its sister companies, is leading the graphene revolution.
The convergence of three-dimensional materials with two-dimensional mesograph graphene is the beginning of innovation for energy storage materials. We are at Hydro-Quebec, Montreal, Canada. This is where the nanoparticle fusion was discovered between graphene, mesograph, and lithium iron phosphate. This is the energy storage lab, where the nanoparticle fusion between mesograph graphene and lithium iron phosphate take place. Hydro-Quebec is the world leader and patent holder in world-class lithium iron phosphate systems and batteries. They have joined forces with Grafoid to come up with a lithium iron phosphate graphene application to extend the life of their existing patents. This is a continuing story of innovation for Grafoid's investment in graphene. We applied something called mechanofusion, and this nanoparticle fusion is the heart of the patent, where we take the two materials, combine them in close proximity, and apply nanoparticle fusion. And that's when the two become one. And when that happens, and then you then take the material back into this laboratory to build your batteries, and then to analyze the performance, that's when you start saying, wait a minute, this doesn't act like lithium iron phosphate anymore. And graphene doesn't do that by itself. It acts like a completely different animal. You form new kinds of structures that become so innovating that it yields initially the patent, but also yields incredible business opportunities. Imagine packing 200 times more lithium iron phosphate with graphene. Hypothetically, we created a material that was more than amazing. It was absolutely transformative. Energy storage is needed by every single individual in every single country. Lower cost, transportable, and safe energy storage. This is why we've attracted Hydro-Quebec. The carbon backbone of graphene, flexible, electrically conductive, ends up supporting the lithium iron phosphate because the Achilles heel to lithium iron phosphate is electrical conductivity. It is a poor electrically conductive material. Hydro-Quebec sees the capability behind graphene and lithium iron phosphate. Unlike the other carbon materials that they've been using, they have found that graphene, being these very thin sheets, has capabilities for not only the energy storage, but also in engineering unique shapes so that they can apply to new and exciting devices. Everybody knows that wearable electronics is going to be the next big thing, and you need exotic shapes to do that, and only the exotic material, graphene, has that flexible yet electrically conductive capability. Imagine in the future that the batteries are not limited to the boxes that you see or the rectangles, but actually it could be in the shape of a napkin or folded into your pocket. Imagine tomorrow where you have clothing you wear, clothing like the shirt, that have the ability to be the battery, to store the energy while you wear it, but you can throw it in the washer and dryer and still be able to reuse it. Imagine a battery that is integrated into the car, not just in the particular area because it's a solid block and won't do anything, or because it's toxic and you want to know how to isolate the toxins. Imagine an energy storage system that could actually be holistic without the costs and with all the benefits. Low cost, reusable, and recyclable energy storage is going to be coveted, highly coveted in the future. And the only way to get flexible energy, paper-like storage is using graphene as a material. And that is where mesograph is leading the charge. We have been able to create breakthroughs with our partners at astounding low costs and incredible speeds. The speed of discovery that would normally take 5 to 10 years has only taken us under a year to get patentable opportunities such as the lithium iron phosphate and graphene, As a consequence, we've got countries like Germany that have already come to Grafoid to form joint venture partnerships, like Singapore, like Canada's Hydro-Quebec. This is the beginning of a blossoming of the energy storage era and age using graphene.